Oh, this is MPU's Voice for the People coming out to you. And today we are talking with. You want me to give him your real name or no?
Why not? I mean, it's not like it's
Alright. Hold on. Let me see if I can get you a little bit louder. No, I have a speaker. That's why.
I had to take you off the speaker, so.
No, I have you on speaker. I have you on speaker, so.
I'm just saying, I don't want everybody knowing,
Your business, I know.
Power on.
Alright, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Alright. Sorry about that, folks. Technical difficulties. So, today we're talking about the Deveroux Foundation. Not necessarily in a bad way, but just to kind of give those, because some of our listeners are people who are clinically disabled, who live out in the world, and who may have various behavior traits that, or they fit the certain category of people that Deveroux could possibly want to get their hands on, or inevitably will get their hands on. So I want to describe some people to you. I'm going to ask you what exactly, in your experience, how you think they most likely they'd be dealt with. So here's a question. Let's say you have someone who's a compulsive liar. I mean, such a compulsive liar, they make up stories about their life that were things that never happened or never would happen. It's as if they live in their own delusional little fantasy world, and it's just simply, and it's hard to believe anything they say. Not to mention, they have the basic emotional maturity of a 12-year-old kid, and they have a nasty habit of pushing their weight left and right, screaming at people, and just being an overall, just in general, douche. How would Deveroux deal with somebody like that?
They'd probably put him on a lot of medication and get him psychological help.
Would he be allowed to come and go as he pleases?
Not really, no.
Why?
Because you don't really know what he's going to say to the next person, and if they do believe him, they're going to, look at his track record and be like, this kid needs to get some serious help. And
so would he be allowed to have a cell phone?
Probably not. I mean, unless his family gave it to him, and
all right,
he'd be monitored
very closely.
Yeah.
What about a video game system? What if he has a long history of blowing his money on video games?
Well, they keep an eye on it, but I mean, they can't stop him from having a game or.
I'm talking about video. I'm talking about playing a video game for up to all night and all day. Well, that's all they're doing.
No. That would not be allowed.
Wow. So they would give him maybe an hour if he was lucky.
maybe, yeah.
Not even 30, 20 minutes. Yeah. So basically they would be riding his ass 24/7.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. Somebody like this is out in the world. If somebody like this is out in the world today, do you think inevitably Deveroux will get their hands on them?
Probably.
And how come?
Because that's a place for people that need a lot of help. And
that sounds like someone that sounds like a Deveroux kind of person. Okay. Person number two would say they're a registered sex offender. They did prison time because they took their legal charge was they took advantage of someone who's mentally disabled. And not to mention they're good with computers. However, they're a social nuisance. They wear people down. They're an overall pain in the ass. Not to mention that they have a violent streak, and they're so lousy with people and weird everybody the fuck out no matter where they go. That hold on. Anytime they have a place to stay for long, the landlords always throw them out. and toss them out on their ass. Not to mention they always sucker girls who don't know any better or who are socially awkward, who have very isolated lives into relationships. And they basically emotionally hold them hostage. What would Deveroux do with a person like that?
I'm honestly not even sure.
All right, I'll give her up. Guess would they put him on restriction or put him in a household with all men? And
probably.
Would he be allowed to go? Would they be allowed to come and go as they please?
No.
Would they be allowed to have a cell phone?
No, probably not.
Would he be allowed to ever have a computer?
No.
So it'd say aside from the fact you need to be here, they would say you're a registered sex offender. You're not allowed to use a computer.
Well, yeah. I mean.
So in other words, he'd be considered a permanent resident of Deveroux because where else is he going to go, right?
Exactly.
Shit. So Deveroux does have people that are never going to leave that program, basically.
Well, yeah.
Holy shit.
Some people come and go, and other people come and never leave.
Wow, okay. And a guy like him, if he's out in the world right now, do you think he eventually, if he doesn't end up back in prison, will end up in Deveroux?
Probably.
Because eventually he'll have no other option but to consider them. In other words, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Wait. So people live in Deveroux housing. Are they allowed to go outside on the grounds? Are they allowed? I mean, outside for fresh air? Or,
yeah, if they wanted to go for walks or whatever,
But they need a staff.
As long as you let people know where you're at.
But you need a staff. But somebody like that, they would need a staff person to escort them, wouldn't they?
Mm-hmm.
So these two guys I described would not even be allowed to go to the gas station by themselves?
Probably not, no.
Why not?
Well, I guess...
Because they've already been... Because they've been a nuisance out in the world already, and they need to be controlled, basically.
Yeah.
Holy crap. So, if there's anybody out in the world who is behaving like that, what would your honest message be for them?
Well, basically that they need to ship up, or they're going to get shipped to a place where they're never going to get let out.
Yeah. Basic freedoms such as going to the gas station by yourself, where you don't need an adult to escort you, is something that, most grown-ups take for granted, right?
Well, yeah.
But anybody, if you're stuck in a program like Deveroux when you don't need to be there, especially someone like you, that's got to be frustrating.
Yeah, it is. Right. But,
you're saying
I'm safe from, everybody, like...
in the world, but you also want to be trusted. You also want to be trusted to come and go as you please.
Well, yeah, that too.
Right. As far as those two guys though, people like that will eventually end up in Deveroux, won't they?
Mm-hmm.
And I get it. It's because of people like them is why Deveroux will never get shut down, right? Because they basically proved to our country as a whole that agencies like that are still needed. Unfortunately, they're just poorly run sometimes. Is that what you're basically? Is that what you're basically saying? Ouch. Oh wow. That says it all right there. That is something else. So, but is it safe to say that there are agencies and social workers and judges and people who run boarding houses who Deveroux relies on to get their new clients? Wow. Does the name Mary Chisholm sound familiar?
Not to me, but I'm sure she's somebody that...
What if I were to tell you that the two men I described are two people I actually know? Hello?
I'm here.
What would be your honest reaction if you said those are two people I actually know, but I don't talk to for a good reason?
No, I mean, it's your choice.
No, I would never. I just don't. I don't like the reaction. How would you feel though? Would you be like, oh shit, or like, would you?
Yeah, like.
Okay, they'll eventually end up in Deveroux. So in a lot of ways, Deveroux is where people end up when they burn the bridges with everybody else.
It's a last resort, basically. If there's nowhere else to, like, your schooling is, like, basically not working out, or you've got places that you can't go and you need a place to,
So Deveroux is basically there when you royally screwed yourself beyond repair.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow. Holy shit. But for high functioning people who don't need to be there, that's not a place for them, is it?
No.
No. Even a high
If you can finish high school and
go
on with your life, then do it. Don't get,
Don't sponge off the system and expect the system to be patient with you forever, in other words. Yeah. I get that one. So is it very easy for a high functioning person to get stuck in that program? Huh?
I don't know. I mean, it really depends on how smart they are.
If they're really smart, but they have a lot of emotional problems,
then they just go for help.
And Deveroux says you don't. This is not for you.
Yeah, and then they'll dismiss you, and you go do whatever you do. And
okay. But those two guys I described are out in the world today. They're not in a program like Deveroux. But you're saying is that people like that are the ones who Deveroux make the money off of. Hello?
I'm here.
So those two guys I described to you, people like them are who Deveroux are basically where Deveroux are why Deveroux is still thriving today. In other words.
Yeah.
Wow. So, all right, the first guy, the pathological liar. He's got 8 parents who are getting older. He still behaves the way he does, and it's only a matter of time before he ends up doing something really stupid, and he won't have his mother to rely on when his mother passes away, and he's pushing 50. The other guy is in his early 30s. He does the registered sex offender. He's constantly pissing people off. He's constantly doing everything, and he has relatives that are also at their wits' end with him, and they don't know what to do with him anymore. So it's safe to say that eventually both of those morons will end up in Deveroux. Is that what?
Well, yeah. I mean,
that's an issue about how most residents end up there. Is they basically wear their families thin, and their families don't know what to do.
Well, yeah.
Wow.
Some people go for 4 years and go to school and graduate, and other people go to a group home after they graduate and never get a chance to see the real world.
So, but they do take adult residents, people who have never been to the school, but the residential program does take people like that into their program, in other words.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit. I get it. So basically, Deveroux, they're guard dogs.
Yeah, in some ways.
They keep those who are they keep the mentally ill who are a nuisance in line. Shit. So, if you could say anything to the families of those two guys, what would you say?
Probably you need to talk to your kids and get them in line, or they're going to be put in a place that they're really not going to be happy.
Wow. And there's agencies like this all over the country.
Yeah, I think there's like one in almost every state.
Yeah. And not all the Devereaux locations are properly run. Some of them are very poorly run. Yeah. There's other agencies like it too, but that's a shock right there.
Wow. You're telling me.
Wow. All right, one more person. Highly functional, very mentally ill, has a lot of emotional problems, is a registered sex offender, but managed to weasel his way into working for People Incorporated, and then to get himself fired. If he had to apply for residential in Devereaux, how hard would he have it? A lot harder than most? A lot harder than most?
Yeah, that would probably be a good...
Why? Because of how functional he is? To take the fight out of him, basically?
Yeah.
So they basically call the state and have his license his license as an advocate revoked, right?
Yes.
And all of his credentials would be stripped of him. Or Devereaux would have that done, right? Wow. And would they do that to either A, take the fight out of him, or B, to kind of kill his credibility? Or both?
I don't know. I mean,
Someone like that, though, it would be a much more of a challenge to kind of knock him into place.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's another person I know, and he's another one. So these are three main people that all live in Ulster County, unfortunately, and they all are these are ogres. These are ogre guys that, well, not ogre. These are those dysfunctionally mentally ill guys that cause a ruckus and they cause a lot of trouble no matter where they go. I could say that those three people abuse freedom on a massive scale, and they don't know how to cut their crap. So Devereaux does make money off of people like that.
That's probably why they're still open.
Because eventually they get their hands on people like that.
Well, yeah, because people that don't obey the law and,
who are too mentally ill to send to prison get sent there.
Yeah.
Wow. But at least with prison, there's a designated time you get out. With Devereaux. Someone said, take jail or Devereaux? I'll take jail. Okay, I'll get my ass kicked by other inmates. At least I know I'm eventually getting out of jail. I'd rather that sound makes jail look really good as a viable option over Devereaux any day, because at least
I'd rather do a 5-year prison sentence than
a lifetime in Devereaux, right? Right.
Yeah, that's sad, but it's
that's disturbing right there. Just, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not laughing because I find this funny. I'm laughing. I don't know how to react to that. I really don't. I don't know how to react to that, and I don't know what to say to that. That is sick, and I cannot. Wow. Oh. So it's safe to say people like that those three guys eventually will end up in Devereaux.
Probably.
And do people like that ever get out, or do they just keep them there?
Well, people that are like
that
really, yeah, they're looking at it a long time before
they ever see kind of any semblance of freedom. Wow. All right, if you act up in Devereaux, are you allowed to go home for Christmas, or do they keep you there?
I mean, it depends on like how bad. I mean, if you're just like mouthing off and whatever, then you know.
But if you're screaming and yelling and being belligerent or being manipulative or being a nuisance, they don't let you go home at all, do they?
No.
You got to earn a normal Christmas with your family?
Well, some people do.
Holy shit.
I don't, but you know, there are people in there that have to, you know, show them that they're able to go home and not act like, you know,
complete douchebags. Like complete and utter douchebags. Yeah. Whew. So it's safe to say that Deveroux is basically is a glorified is a glorified leper colony, or a viable solution for those that nobody wants to deal with anymore.
Yeah, pretty much.
E. And as long as society remains the way it is, programs like Deveroux are never going to go away anytime soon, are they?
Probably not.
Do you think that maybe our government needs to do something a little bit differently?
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt. I mean,
yeah.
There's always room for improvement.
Right. And for me, as a certified peer advocate, is it safe to say Deveroux uses people like me to get people in their program?
If it wasn't for, you know, people like you, there would be no Deveroux. They wouldn't have anywhere to put anybody.
No, I'm a certified peer advocate. You know what that means?
You know, you need high functioning people to see the scum of the earth and get put in a place like this, that they need to be like just told that they need to get help. And
so you're saying is that a peer advocate can be used to get people put in Deveroux as much as it can be used to get people out.
Yeah, pretty much.
Holy shit. I know what you're saying is that because I see both sides of the coin. I see that there's people like you who don't need to be in there, but there's people like those three guys who most definitely need to be in there. And that's just like, wow. And the sad thing about it is, you know, I know I'm going to piss a lot of people off this video, but People Incorporated trained me well. They trained me too well. And I could see both ends. I could be both sides, see both sides of the coin. So, part of this, part of being an advocate is telling the ugly truth that the system is not legally obligated to tell you. Did you know that they don't have to tell you everything? They're not obligated to.
No, but
you do now.
No, I mean that's.
Yeah. Right. But however, a peer advocate is basically a glorified negotiator. Their job basically is to sit there and negotiate on your behalf so that you can obtain the services you need to obtain the life goals you need for yourself. However, the other half of that is we tell the client is the truth. Hold on. That door's open. Yeah. Namaste. Sorry about that. But yeah, like it's they're basically saying is that yeah. So, and I understand where you're coming from. You're basically saying is that as much as it's my job to help people like you get what you need to get out of there, my training could also be used to get people like those guys locked up in there. Wow. Now I can see why, because there are. The first people they're going to turn to is a peer advocate, a person who's basically not is at the same level as them, and who's not too far off from where they are. Holy crap. Or somebody who's been through it before, or who knows who knows where to look and where not to look, or who can read these people, who knows how they live their lives. I get that. And they say that when the master's away, the rats will play. Well, which is true. When the psychiatrist is away, the nuts will play. Is that true?
Something like that.
Yeah. And Deveroux is the end result of all that crap, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, this young lady, and I will not be releasing her name, at risk of her own basically getting in trouble for doing this, she has been gracious enough to give us this reality check, and not in a way to badmouth Deveroux, but to give other clients a painful reminder as to potential clients at Deveroux that you can end up in there too, and if you don't get your shit together, you will end up in there. And basic things you like to do, like going out to the movies, going to the gas station, having sex, will never happen again if you end up in Deveroux. Am I right when I say that?
For some. I mean...
Ouch.
That wasn't my case, but yes,
yeah.
That is a very good possibility.
Right. Wow. Unbelievable. All right. This is MP's Voice for the People.